5 years ago to the day, I watched an animated feature film titled The Mitchells versus the Machines. It came out 5 years ago, almost to the day, and I was really, I don't know if excited is the word, interested to go back to this movie because I remember really disliking it. Hatred is probably too strong, and that's really been the idea behind going back to all these movies, is that not only have my taste changed a little bit, but I was fundamentally a different person. I was 20 years old when the movie came out, and I had my reservations. Maybe because I had been masking my entire life. I was fresh out of high school, and I wasn't a mean kid per se, but there were a lot of technical, like, autistic tendencies that I showed, and I was definitely a part of it, that I turned my nose up because, when you're a kid, I guess you got to push down the other kids and be like, haha, you're different. I'm actually totally normal when I totally wasn't. And I was embarrassed by the movie. I thought it was trying really hard to just be funny, and it wasn't. I remember thinking that the autistic representation was not cathartic in any way. If anything, it was sort of insulting. And also, their view of the internet was also really embarrassing as someone who is terminally online. And I wanted to go back to this movie because clearly those are just, that's something a 20-year-old would say. Someone who cares so much about cringe culture. Oh, this movie was cringe. So I was interested to go back to it to sort of get a different perspective because I cared so much about being perceived when I was 20, about the way I saw myself and the way I saw other people. And I really thought I was going to come back to this movie in 2026 and have a totally different view. And I do have a different view, but ultimately I I still find it annoying. I said this in my Letterboxd review upon immediately finishing it, is it's sort of become a rule now that whenever there's an animated anything, whether it be a feature film, a cartoon, anything, there are no criticisms you can levy at it because it is animation. And if you're an animation fan on YouTube, on the internet, on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on whatever, it means that you are a soldier and you have to like everything. And if you criticize anything, then you're actually just not supporting animation. And this was in the pandemic still, and I remember people being really excited about it. And I remember also remembering that it was a Phil Lord and Chris Miller picture, but it wasn't. They produced it. I think their studio produced it, but they had, I don't want to say no input, but they didn't direct the movie. I remember thinking, like, man, this is Phil Lord and Chris Miller's, like, worst movie. And they normally make really, really funny stuff. And it's easy to just chalk everything up to, like, oh, millennial core. But Alex Hirsch is in this movie, continuing Alex Hirsch's streak of never being in any good Netflix product. And I think that Gravity Falls could also be like Patient Zero and be described as the same thing, but it's still, like, really funny. All the stuff that has this, like, whenever you see online people talk about millennial core, or the way a generation of people, like, say things, or what they've based their cadence off of, it's always, Gravity Falls, Simpsons, John Mulaney. But all those things I still find funny. None of them do I ever turn up my nose. But this movie just isn't funny. And I feel even more stupid to a degree. Why? Because that's always the excuse, right? Like, well, it's made for children. I don't think that a movie being for children necessarily neglects any valid criticism or any quality it might have just because it's made for kids. But I also don't mean to sound like those people who, like, those grown men who burst their way into the My Little Pony scene and they're like, this show's actually for us. I know that people really like this movie, and this time around, for any other video, I normally write notes on my phone, but since I'm filming on my phone, I wrote notes on my hand so I wouldn't forget. It just says, autism, internet. Okay, it's actually quite smudged. There's Alex Hirsch right there. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Above the representation of the autistic child. At the time, I remember being really bugged by it because it was stereotypical. Oh, he's really excited about dinosaurs. It's the equivalent of if you had an autistic kid in your movie and you're like, yeah, he really likes trains. But sometimes stereotypes exist for a reason. I don't think it's bad representation. The only thing that I do think the annoyance still holds up is the internet aspect of it, because weirdly the movie is kind of ahead of its time, where everyone is using their phone as like an AI assistant slash sex bot, where they just ask it questions and ChatGPT will say like, actually, all the people that cut you off in your life, they're actually the bad guys. Stuff like that. Eric Andre's character ostensibly. And there's a sort of view in the movie that the dad is right. They all need to get rid of their screens and live together as a family. And I remember it annoyed me way more when I was 20, because I was, glued to my phone watching movies on my goddamn telephone. And a movie coming out that's like, no, you should actually hang out with your dad instead, bugged me. I don't even necessarily think that's what the movie is going for. Of course, now that I'm an actual adult, I'm like, no, you should probably log off. I'm not going to say anything about it, but there's a lot of drama going around about a certain show on Twitter right now. And I probably would have cared way more had I been 20 when it was happening. Because at a certain point, arguments and callouts no longer become about helping marginalized people. It becomes about pointing fingers and being like, there was a reason I didn't like this guy. But the thing that bugs me the most about the movie, and again, I don't know if these aren't necessarily valid criticisms. Not to say that they aren't valid, but I don't think they're like levied to be like, this movie got this thing wrong, which is why it's bad. I'm not saying it's objectively or subjectively bad, good, whatever. I don't like it. I find it annoying. I don't find it funny. That's my ultimate review. You can click off now if that's it. It's unfunny. It's a comedic movie and it's not funny. It's really pretty, but nowadays every movie is pretty. The SpongeBob movie in theaters is pretty. The GOAT basketball movie is pretty. Pixar just looks like Spider-Verse now. Like, that can't be a badge for it. I thought coming back to this, I'm getting like more frustrated as I talk about it now, because it's totally fine. It's a totally passable movie. It's like 2 out of 5 stars. But it personally annoys me because the person I was watching it with made a really interesting note that the movie sort of falls apart when you agree with the dad. You're not supposed to agree with the dad, but he's right. She's trying to get into film school, and she's like, oh, I love making movies. But her movies are like 2000s era YouTube videos. There's a scene where she's like, Dad, I really want to go to film school. Here's what I've been working on. And she shows him like a Nyan Cat double rainbow. Oh, this unicorn is pooping pizzas kind of thing. And he's like, maybe you should have a backup plan. And the movie sort of treats it like he's snuffing out her light, yucking her yum, ruining her glow. But no, he's right. You're not a filmmaker. You're not making movies. You're making Tumblr GIFs. And I don't know if out of touch is the term, because I feel like out of touch is more malicious. I believe that the people who worked on this film went through something similar, whether it was them, whether it was their siblings, when they wanted to go to college. But it's different when your story is about wanting to be an animator, wanting to be a cartoonist, and going to California to go to school to be an animator or to be a writer. If the equivalent is like, oh, she wants to make movies, but her movies suck. She makes bad YouTube videos. And take it from someone who makes bad YouTube videos. The dad is right. She kind of sucks at making. Maybe going to film school will help her get better at making movies, but I doubt it. It's the same thing as like, I was gonna equate it to, she's like Mr. Beast, where she's like, this is the new frontier of entertainment. But instead of including anything that makes traditional entertainment artistically valuable, it's just like, there's no creative spirit. I don't like the protagonist. When I was 20, I didn't like her little brother, because again, I felt, I thought the portrayal was offensive. Okay, the whole thing just turned off. I find the movie annoying. That's really all I have to say about it. According to the rest of my notes, what do I have? Oh yeah, AI. I mentioned that. Film school. I don't actually know what it all says. But you can't expect animation to constantly be up on memes, right? And we've seen it a lot. It happened every time there's a viral anything, SNL, is sort of required by the people who run the show to like capitalize on something, because everyone complains and says that SNL fell off and that it's got bad and it's only chasing trends, but it's working, right? The only sketches that you see are the ones that are chasing trends, and they exist solely for that reason, so that you'll click on it and be like, SNL tackles Mo Dang, SNL tackles Alyssa Louis, that ice skater, stuff like that, you know, stuff that doesn't matter and won't matter in like 5 months time. Hawk to a whatever, stuff like that. But animation takes a very long time. Clearly this movie was made and written pre-pandemic, because it takes place during 2020. And at first I was almost ready to give it a pass, like, oh, all of these outdated internet references and outdated pieces of humor make sense because the movie's supposed to be set in the 2010s. But it's not. We see footage of them going on a family trip and it's in 2020. So, I don't know, am I terminally online? Am I being the guy that's like posting every single day, like, oh, this movie can't keep up with modern memes? But then don't fucking reference them. You're putting Numa, like the Numa thing makes sense, right? Because it's supposed to be set in 2008. But if they want to make a movie that like celebrates internet culture, which I don't think you should do, you could do it for individual fandoms. I don't think any traditional entertainment should really reference memes outright. I think it was funny when Always Sunny did it in the last season, but that was just because of how stupid it was. Unless those memes are tied to that series. Like the Spider-Man movie doing the Spider-Man pointing meme, or The Simpsons referencing the gif of Homer going into the bush, or in the Sonic movie where they hold up a picture of Sonic, right? In any other movie, that wouldn't be... It wouldn't work. It wouldn't be funny. So I'm getting too caught up on the Nyan Cat thing, but it's 2020. If I want to think I'd be a good parent. If my daughter came to me and she's like, I want to make movies, I want to go to film school, and she shows me like a 2011 style YouTube video, 2012, maybe 2014, I'm like, okay, what if I didn't send you to film school and instead you keep making these videos? It's the same thing with people. I don't want to discredit anyone that goes to a creative school for a creative major. I mean, I was in for creative writing. I flunked out, and look where that got me. I'm living in my car now, or I'm conditioning you for when I eventually live in my car. The idea of people that are like, oh, I want to make things, and I will, once I get this thing. I'm going to make movies as soon as I go to school. I'm going to make YouTube videos as soon as I get this editing software. I'm going to make a podcast as soon as I get this audio equipment. Just do it now. It's the same thing when people say like, oh, I'm going to write a screenplay eventually. You can do it, or no, saying, I want to write a screenplay. Well, if you want to do it, then do it. You can do it now. I want to make a YouTube video. Make the fucking YouTube video. Why are you waiting? Why are you marinating for years and years and years saying like, oh, I'm going to make this video eventually? Just fucking do it. I don't understand that at all. I'm in my neighborhood right now and it's 3 a.m. and the car is closed, but surely people can hear me and there's people walking around. I did not care for the Mitchells versus the Machines, and I am fortunate enough, I'm finally brave enough to come forward with my story, because if I said anything like this in 2021, I think I would have been burned at the stake. Because I don't know if you know this. I'm sure you have. I have had multiple different people ask me about this, so it's definitely going around. Sometimes a random video will just be recommended to people, and it'll sort of become like a meme. I have had a lot of people in my community, in my server, in my circle, my friends, family, whatever, not family, of course, we don't talk about YouTube videos, tell me that they're all getting the same recommended video, and I got it too, which is just like 8 hours, 9 hours of the entirety of God, the Devil, and Bob. And I remember an internet reviewer in the 2010s, who shall go unnamed, talked about God, the Devil, and Bob as an admirable animation. That probably gives away the whole hunt. Saying that it was good, it was high quality, it was one of the best pieces of animation because it wasn't mean-spirited. And I don't even like those mid-seasons of SpongeBob, but I find them way funnier than God, the Devil, and Bob. I feel like it's hard to talk about objectiveness when it comes to comedy, and people say that comedy is subjective. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think to a certain degree it can be, but there's only so many ways I could tell you that The Mitchells versus the Machines just isn't funny before I've just made my point. I don't find it funny. I find it really annoying, and I probably wouldn't have any feelings about it at all had I not made myself watch it for exactly this. But hey, it's nostalgic in a way. It doesn't make me nostalgic for the pandemic. Apparently, there's a sequel that's coming out this year, and it's being worked on by entirely different people. So I hope they actually make the movie good this time around. I just I like animation. It's not all gonna be for you, but I feel like there are so many cartoons that people hold up as like, this is really good, this is really heartwarming stuff, and it just isn't funny. For me, I prioritize comedy. As a kid, when I was watching cartoons, I didn't care that much about action cartoons. I was more of a dialogue guy, which is probably why I never really got into anime, one. And two, it's really hard for an action cartoon to win my favor, to win me over, to keep my attention. That's why I really loved My Adventures with Superman. I thought it was such a marvel, ironic turn of phrase, that I cared and liked that show, because normally I don't care about those generic action shows. I didn't care about that one Batman animated series that was on Amazon, and week after week, as I keep making myself watch Invincible, I'm just out of it. I'm clocking out. There's going to be a concurrent theme between all of these throwbacks to 2021, that I keep talking about Invincible, because that is sort of a through rhyme, right? I think the first season of Invincible really is like magical, lightning in a bottle, fantastic stuff. And that first season came out in 2021, and the series hasn't been as good since. I thought about doing a video like this, but for TV shows from 2021, because also video games. I played all of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the complete edition, and also played all of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. But I don't think I can keep it up when it comes to Balan Wonder World or Monster Hunter Rise, or I would like to replay Psychonauts 2. I also celebrated Portal 2's anniversary by replaying Portal 2, and this movie has similar music and also sentient AI robots, and it's just I this movie is about on the level of like Minions, and I don't know why people hold it up to a higher regard but still decry the Minions. For me, humor is the most important thing, and the movie wasn't funny. I do feel like I'm spinning my wheels a little bit and just constantly saying, yeah, the movie wasn't funny. At this point, this feels like bullying. I've been subtly rubbing my hand together to rub all the text off my hand. But I probably won't ever think about Mitchell's versus the Machines again, or have anything to say about it, unless the sequel comes out in theaters. That'd be cool. But it's not frustrating. It's not hate inducing, it's not angering, it is annoying. I made myself watch it, right? There's always an argument amongst reviewers. It's like, well, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. And I think that's because the aforementioned 2010s reviewers, whenever they would, and this isn't just cartoon people, whenever they would talk about movies, TV shows, video games, whatever, they would talk about it. They played this exaggerated character, right? All that were all parodies of the angry video game nerd, saying like, oh, I'm gonna kill the person who made this, right? Saying, "Oh, this game doesn't deserve to exist. It came from hell. The devil created it. God, the devil, and Bob created it." But that's not how I feel about any of this stuff. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad people made it. It's clearly a labor of love for some people, but those some people just aren't very funny. The idea that a cartoon specifically has to be not mean-spirited. Now I'm just ranting about shit that isn't related at all. We should go on a drive, though. I should go through like a drive-through right now. You see that Wendy's is rolling out AI fast food drive-through? Like, you can go through the drive-through and you got to talk to an AI robot. In that way, the Mitchells versus the Machines sort of predicted everything. So it should be respected as a modern marvel. But for me, I just like... This is all just, I'm letting it all out. This is pent-up frustration from the last 5 years. And it's more that there are just a lot of animated features that people really big up, and they're like, this is important. You have to watch this and you have to like it. And they just haven't been great. What is that noise? I think my car's about to explode. This is just like the Mitchells versus the Machines. I like the Numa Numa. once a meme gets so old that it loops around to being funny again, Chungus style. But the Nyan Catches thing really pissed me off. They may as well have put Big Chungus in the movie. I didn't find it funny. Next.